Hello everyone, good day. This is Ma'am Neri once again and welcome to our personal development session. Okay, so for this video, we shall feature personal development module 9, causes and effects of stress. Okay, so this module discusses about the causes and effects of stress that challenges young adolescents. Most teens today face various stressors that affects their way of living and understanding their current life situations. Hence, this module can greatly help senior high school students like you on how you're going to cope up with daily life stressors. So at the end of this module, you will be able to identify causes and effects of stress in one's life. Before going through the module, let us familiarize first the vocabulary terms listed below. We have anxiety. Anxiety is an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. People with anxiety disorders usually have recurring intrusive thoughts or concerns. They may avoid certain situations out of worry. We also have chronic. Chronic is a continuing or occurring again and again for a long time. Depression is a common mental disorder affecting more than 264 million people worldwide. It is characterized by persistent sadness and a lack of interest or pleasure in previously rewarding or enjoyable activities. It can also disturb sleep and appetite. Tiredness and poor concentration are common. The word endorphin comes from putting together the words endogenous, meaning from within the body, and morphine, which is an opiate pain reliever. Since endorphins act on the opiate receptors in our brains, they reduce pain and boost pleasure, resulting in a feeling of well-being. We also have fatigue. Fatigue is a condition characterized by a lessened capacity for work and reduced efficiency of accomplishment, usually accompanied by a feeling of weariness and tiredness. Fatigue can be acute and come on suddenly or chronic and persist. We also have the term fight or flight. So this represents the choices that our ancestors had when faced with danger in their environment. So they could either fight or they could flee. In either case, the physiological and psychological response to stress prepares the body to react to the danger. Then we also have nausea. Nausea is a stomach distress with distaste for food and an urge to vomit. Okay, so let us now go to pretest. Direction. Answer the questions below. This assessment will determine your prior knowledge about the topic of this module. Choose from the given choices and write your answers in your journal. Okay, so we shall now proceed to learning activity 1. Directions. The best approach is to answer fairly and quickly. That is, don't try to count up the number of times you felt a particular way. Rather, indicate the alternative that seems like a reasonable estimate. Okay, so for each question, choose from the following alternatives. 0 would mean never. 1 will mean almost never. 2, sometimes. 3, fairly often. And 4, very often. Okay, so number 1. In the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? 2. In the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control the important things in your life? Number 3. In the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? Number 4, in the last month, how often have you felt confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? Number 5, in the last month, how often have you felt that things were going your way? Then 6, in the last month, how often have you found that you could not cope with all the things that you had to do? Then number 7, in the last month, how often have you been able to control irritations in your life? Number 8, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were on top of things? Then number 9, in the last month, how often have you been angered because of things that happened that were out of your control? Then number 10, in the last month, how often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them? Okay, so I hope you have evaluated yourself from among these statements or questions. Okay, so let us now proceed to figuring your PSS score. Okay, so first reverse your scores for questions 4, 5, and 7, including 8. And on these 4 questions, you're going to change the scores like this. So for 0, that would be interchange with number 4, 1 by 3, 2 by 2, 3 by 1, and 4 would also mean 0. So baliktarin po natin yung ating mga sinagot or yung answers natin dyan sa mga questions na yan. Okay, then you're going to add up your scores for each item to get a total. And then, ilalagay nyo po yung total score. Ayan. Then, individual scores on the PSS can range from 0 to 40 with higher scores indicating higher level of perceived stress. Okay, so kung makikita nyo dyan, andyan po yung interpretation. So scores ranging from 0 to 13 would be considered low stress. Then for those who have scores from 14 to 26, that would mean moderate stress. And from those who have scores ranging from 27 to 40, that would be considered as high perceived stress. Okay, so disclaimer lang, the scores on the following self-assessment do not reflect any particular diagnosis or course treatment. So they are just meant as a tool to help assess your level of stress. A more precise measure of personal stress can be determined by using a variety of instruments that have been designed to help measure individual stress levels. The first of these is called the Perceived Stress Scale. The Perceived Stress Scale is a classic stress assessment instrument. The tool, while originally developed in 1983, remains a popular choice for helping us understand how different situations affects our feelings and our perceived stress. So the question in this scale asks about your feelings and thoughts during the last month. In each case, you will be asked to indicate how often you felt or thought a certain way. So although some of the questions are similar, there are differences between them and you should treat each one as a separate question. The perceived stress scale is interesting and important because your perception of what is happening in your life is most important. Consider the idea that two individuals could have the exact same events and experiences in their lives for the past month. Depending on their perception, total score could put one of those individuals in the low stress category, and total stress could put the second person in the high stress category. Identifying stress. Stress can be defined as any type of strain that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Stress is your body's response to anything that requires attention or action. everyone experiences stress to some degree. The way you respond to stress, however, makes a big difference to your overall well-being. In psychology, stress is defined as a feeling of emotional strain and pressure. Stress is a type of psychological pain, and small amounts of stress can be desired, beneficial, and even healthy. So sometimes the best way to manage your stress involves changing your situation. At other times, the best strategy involves changing the way you respond to the situation. So, developing a clear understanding of how stress impacts your physical and mental health is important. It's also important to recognize how your mental and physical health affects your stress level. Are you stressed out? Stress can be a short term or long term. Both can lead to a variety of symptoms, but chronic stress can take a serious toll on the body over time and have a long-lasting health effects. Stress is not always easy to recognize, but there are some ways to identify some signs that you might be experiencing too much pressure. Sometimes stress can come from an obvious source, but sometimes even small daily stresses from school, family, and friends can take a toll on your mind and body. Okay, so here are some of the things you can watch for to determine whether stress might be affecting you. Okay, so we have physiological signs. So difficulty concentrating, worrying, anxiety, and trouble remembering are some of the psychological signs that you may experience. We also have emotional signs, and this includes being angry, irritated, moody, or frustrated. Then we have physical signs. So it includes high blood pressure, changes in weight, frequent colds or infections, and changes in menstrual cycle and libido. Then we have behavioral signs. Okay, so this includes poor self-care, not having time for the things you enjoy, or relying on drugs and alcohol to be able to cope with life stressors. What causes stress? Stress is different for everyone. What stresses you out may not even bother your best friend and vice versa. Still, your bodies react the same to stressors. That's because the stress response is your body's way of dealing with tough or demanding situations. It causes hormonal, respiratory, cardiovascular, and nervous system changes. For example, stress can make your heart beat faster, make your breathe rapidly, sweat and tense up. It can also give you a burst of energy. This is known as the body's fight or flight response. It's this chemical reaction that prepares your body for a physical reaction because it thinks it's under attack. This type of stress helped our human ancestors survive in nature. So the situation and pressures that cause stress are known as stressors. So you will usually think of stressors as being negative, such as an exhausting school schedule. However, anything that puts high demands on you can be stressful. This includes positive events such as getting married, buying a house, going to college, or receiving an obligation. Of course, not all stress is caused by external factors. Stress can also be internal or self-generated. When you worry excessively about something that may or may not happen, or have irrational pessimistic thoughts about life. So that could be an internal stressors. Finally, what causes stress depends at least in part on your perception of it. Something that's stressful to you may not face someone else. They may even enjoy it. Some of us are terrified of getting up in front of people to perform or speak, for example. Others live for the spotlight. So iba-iba ang ating perception when it comes to stress. Where one person thrives under pressure and performs best in the face of a tight deadline, another will shut down when a school demands escalate. Here are some of the common external causes of stress. So we have major life changes, work or school, relationship difficulties, financial problems, being too busy, and children and family. Common internal causes of stress also includes pessimism, inability to accept uncertainty, rigid thinking, lack of flexibility, negative self-talk, unrealistic expectation or perfectionism, and all or nothing attitude. Okay, so these are some of the examples of internal causes of stress. Now let us understand good stress and bad stress. Sometimes you can feel stressed for a short period of time. Usually, it's nothing to worry about, like when you need to hand in a project or you have to talk in front of a group of people. Maybe you feel butterflies in your stomach and the palms of your hands get sweaty. So these types of positive stressors are short-lived and your body's way of helping you get through what could be a tough situation. So this is called good stress or eustress. Then we also have bad stress. So sometimes, however, negative feelings can be very stressful. Maybe you're tired or you're worried, angry, scared, or frustrated. So this kind of stress isn't good for you and over the long term can cause serious problems. Stress symptoms can affect your body, your thoughts and feelings, and your behavior. Being able to recognize common stress symptoms can help you manage them. Stress that's left unchecked can contribute to many health problems. So though that is the bad stress or distress. Effects of stress. Stress symptoms may be affecting your health even though you might not realize it. You may think illness is to blame for that irritating headache, your frequent insomnia, or decreased performance at school. But stress may be actually be the cause. So here are some of the effects of stress on your body. So you may feel headache, muscle tension or pain, chest pain, fatigue, stomach upset, and sleep problems. Then on your mood, you may also have anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, irritable or irritability and anger, sadness or depression. And on your behavior, so this includes overeating or undereating, and you may also have this angry outburst, drug or alcohol misuse, social withdrawal, and exercising less often. So those are the effects or common effects of stress on your body, on your mood, and on your behavior. How about on long-term stress? Okay, we have the physical effects of stress and the emotional effects of stress. So if you let your stress spiral on for too long, it can have damaging effects on your physical, mental, and emotional health, especially if it becomes chronic. You need to be aware of the warning signs of chronic stress so you can take care of yourself. Okay, so let us discuss the physical effects of stress. This includes headache, trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, muscle pain or tension, digestive issues, and high blood pressure. For the emotional effects of stress, so these may consist of feeling that you can't get things done, moodiness, anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation, irritability, and it could also include sadness or depression. So that was the long-term effects of stress. So now we go to stress overload. So sometimes you may feel like you have too much stress to handle. If you think you just can't cope any longer, you may want to seek help from a specialist. So talk to your primary care doctor to see if she can help you determine whether what you're experiencing is stress or an anxiety disorder. Again, so kasi kapag nag-build up na talaga yung stress, that could lead really to anxiety disorder. Okay, so these are some of the signs of stress overload. So this includes panic attacks, worrying all the time, feeling you're under constant pressure, drinking or doing drugs to deal with your stress, overeating, smoking, depression, and we also have withdrawal from family and friends. Okay, so I just hope, my dear students, that you have learned from our discussion on the causes and effects of stress. Okay, so we now go to application, the happiness meter. And so kung makikita ninyo, meron tayo ditong example ng happiness meter sa baba. We have the unhappy and the happy, and we have also a scale of 10. Listen to the direction. A scale of 1 to 10, or scale from 1 to 10, is a general and largely vernacular concept used for rating things, people, or places, ideas, and so on. The scale has 10 as a maximum score, as a denotation of exceptionally high quality or of another attribute, usually accompanying 1 as its minimum, although some common variants have a minimum of 0. Such a scale is similar in function to other rating scales, such as starred ratings, which are typically out of 5. So below, you can see there the happiness meter. Assess your level of happiness this past week, and of course, consider the level of stress you've been through. 10 being the highest and 1 as the lowest scale. So elaborate your responses on the space provided below. Let us now proceed to post-test. So here's your assignment, my dear student. Okay, so the direction. There are 2 given activities below. Select your desired activity as an assignment for this module and write your answer in your journal. So, pipili lang po kayo kung alin ang gusto nyo dyan na gawin. So, it's either number 1, find for the YouTube video with the help of your hyperlink provided below, entitled How Stress Affects Your Body. Then try to summarize the content of the video and add your personal experiences with the effects of stress in your body. Then you're going to share it with the class the next session. And for number 2, you're going to compose an acrostic or composition, usually in verse, in which sets of letters, initial or final letters of the line, are taken in order to form a word or phrase that can summarize your learning with this module. Okay, so thank you very much, my dear students. We are now done with module 8, causes and effects of stress. So I just hope you learned a lot from our video. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone.